All right, and welcome to another fantastic episode and stream of By the Railside movie review. With us today is myself, Zach, and if you actually watch us on stream or YouTube, I've got the cam set up, so you can
Boo!
see what I look like, and we're gonna keep the other ones in the dark because they are spooky for sure. We have Jordan,
Ah,
and we've got Jeff.
that would allegedly be me.
Jeff's going to sound a little different this week because
Because Discord hates my microphone.
yeah. This week we continue on with our wonderful Marvel review of the MCU, and this week we got Captain Marvel, one of the probably most powerful superheroes in the MCU and possibly Marvel Comics. It was one of Marvel's Studios' first female-led superhero movie, and I think it did pretty good. But before we get into all the actual reviews, don't forget to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/bytherailside, Instagram by the Railside, and Twitter @byrailside to catch any news or anything like that. We're also going to try and start posting on TikTok and stuff, see if that'll go anywhere. Probably not.
Whip.
Yeah, and Jordan will nay if we get 2 likes.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans for the whips.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm subscribing.
100%.
How much?
50 a month.
I'll do it
tryna-
for one whip.
I'm trying to make it big, like I don't know, someone who made it big on OnlyFans.
Like
Amaranth.
Oh yeah, Amaranth. You'll be the male Amaranth,
She make like $1 million in a month.
Got the same
Yeah.
size titties.
or that Belle
Mine are more
Delphine.
supple.
You can sell your bathwater.
I like to drink my own bathwater. I'm hoarding it.
That's gross. That
For,
is.
Did you
for
know-
a $100 tip, you can fight me for a gallon.
Did you know that babies in the womb basically drink their bathwater for sustenance?
Well,
Do they
that's-
drink it or do they just absorb it?
Both. And that's the same bathwater that they shit in. The more you know.
Do they do shitted though?
So-
'Cause I know the anus is like the first thing to form.
I'm pretty sure they shitted.
So basically, what you're saying is everyone, at one point in their life, has eaten shit.
Yeah. Anywhere from not everyone. Anywhere from 12 to 20% of babies poop in the womb.
I was not a part of that 12 to 20% because that's gross. That's like shitting in the shower. I will not do it. I will not waffle stomp it down.
Oh,
No
I waffle
shit.
stomp.
Not in my fucking shower.
All right. Now, since we've thoroughly been grossed out before this review, we have to do our predictions
No!
of what Jeff is
Jordan
going...
has to tell the movie!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Come
Jordan.
on, Zach.
Tell us about the movie.
You forget how the podcast works because I'm not
Yeah.
sitting beside you?
It's weird. It throws off the whole vibe.
Quit looking over there. That's weird.
I have to look over there.
Okay. After crashing an experimental aircraft, Air Force pilot Carol Danvers is discovered by the Kree and trained as a member of the elite Star Force military under the command of her mentor, Jan Rog. Sick name. 6 years later, after escaping to Earth while under attack by the Skrulls, Danvers begins to discover there's more to her past. With help from S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Nick Fury, they set out to unravel the truth.
The truth.
Yeah, the big truth, which is God isn't real.
He's not?
He is a supreme intelligence.
Big.
It's just an AI.
Now, this has nothing to do with like how I rated the movie, but I wrote it down. The names of the Kree outside of hers, which was theirs or whatever, they all had 2 syllables. They were Solar, Atlas, Minerva, Marvel, and Jan Rog. Why were 4 of those just like names, like regular ass names or words, and then Jan Rog. Does that have a significance, or is that just like a random note I picked up on?
I think that just might have been a random note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think it's a like supposed to be like that. I guess it does have like everything else is pretty divided up, but
Yeah, that was like one of the twists of the movie. Spoilers are starting now for anyone who hasn't seen it. Is that she's not actually Kree, she's just a human. And while the reasoning behind why I thought that was incorrect, I figured that from the beginning because of the name thing, right? Like, they all had two syllables in their name, and that she was just Vers. There was no, like, other syllable. So I was like, is she actually one of them, or is she something else? So I called the, like, twist thing, but not for the right reason.
It's actually a really weird way to get to like the twist of the movie. Like she doesn't have the same amount of syllables in her name. She must be different. She's a husband planet. I went for like the way that she looked, which
That's
admittedly does sound
racist?
racist. Yeah, it's literally racist. But think about this: some of them have blue skin, which is like okay, huge identifier. But then Jan Rog just had like different colored eyes. Hers were just like normal human colors.
Yeah. And the blue, that's definitely a good point, but like the blue, some of them being blue skin, some of them being white skin, that's really no different than like some of us being black, some of us being white, some of us have different color eyes, right? So I really didn't think about that. It definitely was 100% just the syllables in the name that tipped me off to it.
I don't know, and because I saw the blue people, I'm like okay, so maybe there's like other primary colors. Wait, blue's not a primary color.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I am smart. Never mind. Dude, like yeah, because I figured it would go along those lines. Because colors. You know, I've decided I'm not going to go farther with this because I think I'm going to sound extremely racist.
Good. It's always good to be safe.
Man, I wish I had this foresight during the fucking Happy Feet podcast.
What'd you think, Zach? Did you get tipped off that she wasn't an alien, and why? Was it the skin color? Was it the name? Was it the fact that you had read the comic?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely they did a great job, sort of concealing it, especially when you first get into the like the beginning part of the movie where she's having that dream, and it shows that she has that like it's like blue blood on her nose, so you're just like, oh shit. Um, so that did a good job concealing it. Now, because I was already aware of sort of like the backstory and stuff like that, when it came to um, the character in the movie, I already knew that she was going to be a human. I just didn't know how she ended up getting her powers. And then later on in the movie, you also find out that some of her strength and stuff like that isn't exactly from the engine blowing up. It's also because there was a blood transfusion, and so she does have Kree blood in her that helps out with that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the name thing never clued into me at all. But that was just because I knew the characters a little bit more going into the movie.
Yeah. Now, in her memories, uh, she was like laying on the ground, and the mentor, what's her name, Marvel?
Marvel.
Uh, Marvel, yeah, was like standing up, and then she went to shoot something, and the guy come out, and it was a not a Kree, but a scum or whatever they're called.
Skrull.
Skrull.
You're scum.
Um, Now, was that just? Do you think that was just like them brainwashing, or do you think she had her memory tampered with, or she was just like trying to fill in the blanks herself on something she had no idea what was happening?
No, they go into it. I think the Supreme Intelligence fucked with her memory. The way I saw it was actually in the beginning, like the very first scene, the scroll sort of looks like it's being generated. Like it doesn't look real. It looks like shitty computer graphics. So that's what like got me a little bit. And then once she's in like talking to the Supreme AI, um, it shows like the flashback again, but it's crystal clear.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably didn't notice the generated part because it was like a flashback hazy memory, and I thought maybe it was just like her her memory, and it was just like sketchy graphics or something like that. Like I didn't think too much into it, but yeah, that could be.
Well, yeah. The only reason I noticed it was because, like, the difference between like her having her dream and then the Supreme AI, which was I was assuming just taking her an extraction from her memory and showing it on screen, because like that was just like the AI's plane of existence, right? It was a computer pretty much.
Yeah, and also the fact that like, for the most parts, um, thank you for the sub, Marissa. By the way, for the most part, we never like the way memories work in general is you're never actually remembering that moment. You're just
Mhm.
remembering the last time you remembered it.
Yeah.
So over a period of she was with them for 6 years. So over that time period, it could have easily been put in like, hey, um, no, that was a scroll that attacked. Like scrolls are bad, scrolls are bad, scrolls are bad, and so just in her mind, obviously someone um, that would shoot her down or be this bad person in the memory is gonna be that scroll, since obviously these things are so evil. Which
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely the way I lean too. Um, Now, Jordan said something I didn't know because I don't know much of the lore about it. Are the is the Supreme Intelligence an AI?
yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. I saw them like get quote unquote hooked up by those like weird tentacle things, but I thought maybe that was I don't even know what I thought. Maybe it was just like appendages from the Supreme Being or whatever the fuck it was. Like I know absolutely nothing about what that thing was. Just that they worship it for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's the leader of the Kree.
Mhm.
The only reason I knew it was an AI, I think it said it on screen when it came up, and I don't know if we had our subtitles on or not.
It came up on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they
Oh.
the first time she went to actually like go meet it, I'm assuming to get cleared for her first mission. The other thing that like led me to it was like the implant in her neck. I
Mhm.
instantly went to like sci-fi, like that's a link with the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took that more as like a power limiter, right?
Yeah, and then but the way it was tapped in, just being able to not only control her, so maybe even that, put in the memories and stuff like that to try
Hmm.
and control it. But yeah, um, oh yeah, what did totally skipped over what Jeff was going to be rating this movie. I actually think he's going to rate it a little high. I'm going to go with a 5.
What do you think, Jordan?
Uh, well, you know me, and I know Jeff, and Jeff hates women.
Yeah.
Uh,
That is only partially true.
okay, let me rephrase that. Jeff prefers boys. And this movie didn't have too many. Although it did have the green boys who could turn into any boy, so that might make him happy. So I think he's gonna go with a. I think it's gonna go with a shocking 5.5 to a 6.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
it didn't even have like it's no real love story in it. It's actually pretty not even like action heavy, but the development of the character sort of fits. You get him in a crisis. Yeah, definitely the 5 to 6 range for sure.
There
That's what I'm picking.
definitely was not a superfluous love story in this one.
Yeah, which is
what
weird.
do you mean?
Do you find that
Well,
in like female led movies where there's just not like female led action movies, I should say, because female led um, romance movies, obviously, you got the romance.
I
Unlucky.
think any actor-led romance movie has the romance.
Yeah, but mostly that's where you find like, or before up until the big movements recently, but mostly the female-led movies were like the romance genre or romantic comedy genres. There was very few action female stars.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking like a romance movie with no romance, like directed by Michael Bay, within like 5 minutes, because it still has to be like romance related. So my family was blown up while they were fucking.
And now I want revenge.
I'm gonna wait till the man that blew up my mom and dad. Wait till he's get down with his lady, and then I'm gonna blow them up. Can't spend
Wow,
that shit's
chicka,
12.
wow, wow.
All right. Well, let's hear what Jeff thinks.
Jeff, what do you think?
This is another question.
No.
Was this the first one that was released after Stan Lee died?
Yes. This
Yeah.
in this movie was the last cameo that they filmed with Stan Lee. Now his lines in the movie where he's actually like saying that he's reading the Mallrats script, which he starred in, written by Kevin Smith. Though the lines that you actually hear are pieces of like clips from Mallrats itself, because he was it was just so weak him talking throughout the thing. So they asked Kevin Feige called Kevin Smith and asked him if he could find any of these clips so that they can have it in there to be a more stronger voice. But yeah, this was the last cameo before his passing.
Yeah, I thought it was because not because of the voice or anything. I didn't notice anything like that, but the opening was very, very him heavy, whereas he's obviously involved in Marvel, obviously, but they weren't usually that heavy handed with putting him in the intros, right? Whereas this one, he was fucking everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. It was strictly that. It was just because it was his last movie appearance.
Yeah, that sucks. Uh, did they like did he want to do the cameo still? Because like at the end, obviously you wouldn't 100% know, but to be like so weak that you can't even talk, and they're still like, we need you to sit on this bus and hold this fucking paper because we want you in the movie.
Yeah.
It seems kind of sketchy.
No, that was all him. He absolutely loved his cameos in every single one of the Marvel movies, even like previous, not even Marvel Cinematic. Like you can see him. He's got a cameo in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, the Fox X-Men universe, Deadpool, like everything like that. He lived for like those cameos, and being able to do that, he absolutely was thrilled every single time he got to do it. It was never a forceful thing on Marvel's part, and if anything, they probably would have been like, "Hey, like, if you want, we can adjust stuff and do this and that." And I really believe that Stan would have just been like, "No, I can do this. I can push through it. I can do it. No problem."
Yeah. Okay, so to the actual movie. There's a few things in here. Generally speaking, when I dislike something, I write it down. When I like it, I don't. So most of my bullet points I'm going to bring up right now are just things that jumped out at me negatively. I'll go over the positives that I thought of it too. There's like the very first thing that popped out at me was the implementation of a classically bad storytelling set piece or tool. If you're trying to explain something to the audience, you want it to feel natural, right? And you do that by having an idiot character, an amnesia character, which is fine, or having a foreign character, anything like that. One way you don't do it is by explaining things to a character that they already know, because you're literally just there's no reason to do that. The character already knows these things. It comes across as unnatural and forced. And that's exactly what they did at the beginning of this movie when they were talking about the Grand Overlord or the super computer. And it was only a couple lines that really stood out, but it was when she asked, "Has anyone ever seen what the Grand Intelligence or whatever looks like? Actually looks like," she says. And then he specifically starts to say things like, "Everyone sees their own version. It comes across as someone you look up to or someone you admire or whatnot." And then even he says, "But you already know that." So he even says that they're using a technique to tell the audience something in an incorrect way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they could have completely cut that part out. They could have been like, "Oh, what do you think the Grand Intelligence actually looks like?" And then he would be like, "Oh, no one's ever seen it," that kind of stuff. That's fine. That could be something she doesn't already know because she's just asking what it actually looks like. She doesn't know that. And then when she goes in to see the Grand Intelligence, then reiterate on the fact that, "Oh, you're supposed to be someone who I admire, someone who I look up to, but I don't even know who you are." So not only did they tell it to the audience in an incorrect way, they then doubled down on the information that they already told the audience. And that whole section right there felt extremely sloppy to me from a storytelling perspective. And that there's a whole bunch of little bits and pieces that to me was the biggest thing negative about this movie was from a storytelling perspective it felt sloppy.
Yeah. They
What do you guys?
um yeah, it definitely from that point of view it like you're right. It was a bit sloppy storytelling it, but I think also because of the not the complexity of the characters, but even the constant differences, and then they always have to try and make it new. Because realistically, every superhero besides the Spider-Man solo ones, they all did like it's all origin story based, and there's only so many things you can do in an origin story based thing, and then so I think the writers just end up falling either into um, like a repetitive thing, and so it ends up getting sloppy. But yeah, explaining things to the person, even though they already know things, is definitely a big pain in the ass because it's like okay, with like luckily with superhero stuff, I don't think too many people notice it that much. But yeah, I think they had like 3 scripts for this one actually.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, there was
How
like
come?
um, they tapped 2 writers in the beginning. Each wrote a script, um, doing different takes just on the character itself, and then uh, once they started towards the filming, then someone else got hired to rewrite the script. So it's once you get too many hands in the pot, you're just like, what the fuck. So
Yeah.
that's probably where the messiness of everything like that goes into it.
Yeah, it could be. Um, there's a lot of this stuff is a lot less like in your face kind of stuff. It's a lot more nitpicky. Is a lot of this stuff. When she's go karting, the guy speeds up to her, says you're going too fast, slow down, and then passes her as if she's standing still. Like if she's going too fast, what the fuck are you doing? Then when they were talking about how I'm terrible with names in general, and fantasy names I'm even worse. There was one Kree character that they were trying to save from that planet, and it ended up being a Skrull. She said the like code to the guy, and he said the code back, which is all fine and dandy. They have an identification system. Then when she was talking to Yonrog, she said that he knew the identification code. He responded with, "That's impossible. It's buried deep in his unconscious." If it's buried in his unconscious, How is he supposed to tell you the fucking code when when you ask for it? What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
I think it just meant like they store it in their unconscious mind instead of like their recent memories, because that's all that the scroll can get to is like recent memories.
Mm-hmm.
So if they figured out a way, because I mean, like they are a super advanced society, so they may have figured out a way to play with the brain, or maybe theirs works different. But yeah, I think it just meant like they hide information in a part of the brain that the scroll can't get to.
Well, then they need to use a different word other than buried in his unconscious. Say it's stored in his long-term memory, and then explain the short-term memory thing or something. Because buried in his unconscious makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe it was supposed to be like subconscious or something like that, but
Subconscious would make a little bit more sense. It'd still be a little sketchy, but at least that one would be whatever.
yeah, I just blame it on the universal translators not working properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Universal Translator, and then couldn't talk to the fucking cat monster. What the hell? If it's
Actually,
Universal, I should be able to talk to cat.
wait. I just had a thought. Maybe it was actually the universal translator not translating properly, because if the Kree have a section of their brain that they call whatever, that they can like lock away information, because Carol Danvers was human, is human, so maybe her brain doesn't work the same way, and everything that she's hearing from every Kree has to be translated.
Which, again, if that's the case, explain that. I don't like movies that make you take complete leaps of logic just to explain basic dialogue parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that being a pet peeve, but again, that's probably just probably the same thing as like when you do like nitpick at the small stuff. Maybe that's just like for what the hell's the word, like people who are very into the movies to either like find um, not Easter eggs, but like theory craft around how these things could happen, instead of it just being like maybe, because a lot of things that Marvel does is intentional when it comes to like hidden things, and they sort of leave it up to the viewer to create their own um, explanation for things. So the way
Yeah.
Jordan describes it, it seems pretty like that would explain it, other than them just having bad writing.
Yeah, like it could definitely be up to the audience's interpretation or whatnot, but unless it's like, to me, unless it's a mind bender movie, it comes across as lazy writing. You know what I mean? Like if it's a mind bender movie, a mindfuck movie that they want things to be left open to interpretation, like the ending of um oh fuck, what's it, Shutter Island was a good one, where it come up the ending of it, they acted like he was an inmate, whereas the whole time he had been acting as he was an investigator kind of thing, and then it's up to you to decide whether he was actually an inmate or actually an investigator kind of thing.
Yeah,
That to me is fine because that's the genre of movie. In an action
yeah, it was really good.
mainstream half meant for kids kind of thing, that to me it just comes across as lazy writing, but I again, that could just be a personal thing.
Yeah, I think it might be a difference between like someone who's a hardcore fan versus someone who's not. Like, because the way I would look at it is like trying to come up with different ideas, like why it's that way. But if you're not a fan, you're not going to want to go in depth like that. So you're just it's going to be lazy writing. So it could have been they are just like, you know what, the hardcore fans are going to think about it and come up with their own ideas and talk about this online, and the people that don't like it are just going to be like, nah, that was fucking dumb.
Yeah, could be. Another random point I had written down is just like a lazy physics one. Are Kree, like, they're obviously stronger, but how strong are they? They're a warrior race, but it doesn't really, like, I don't know how strong are they. Like, they can throw people, so are they like Thor kind of strong? Are they like Hulk kind of strong? I don't really know.
I don't think they'd be that strong. Well, Hulk in general has like unlimited strength for the most part,
Mhm.
and um, the other ones are they're Thor's a god. So I don't think they're like that. Maybe like Captain America strong. So just
Yeah.
like superhuman strength type deal. Uh,
Yeah, the reason I bring it up was because generally speaking, your ability to jump is proportional to your ability to run, right? Like, it's all leg muscle. In the one scene, she was running after the train because the scroll was on it, and the train passed her. It was now ahead of her. It was getting away from her. She then jumped, made up the distance between her and the train, and landed on the train. Like she had some fucking acceleration from her jump to do that. And again, that's definitely nitpicky, but that was just like a moment I laughed because that's ridiculous.
yeah.
Uh,
You got to look into the lore, man. She's got the gold jump on gold medal on the Kree planet for running long jump.
Hell yeah. This is another one that they didn't explain in the movie, and they didn't really have to. Again, this is more just me probably looking too closely at it. The scrolls, it said, my note says I don't know much about scroll, but it says they can copy someone down to their DNA, right?
Yeah.
So they have all the traits of that person. Would that not make them the same physically as the person they became? Because the one scroll became like an old lady with a walker and then started doing like kung fu jujitsu, flipping around and whatnot. If you become the same as someone down to their DNA, would you not have the arthritis that old lady had? Or do they have like an ability to go like halfway kind of thing? Or again, that'd be something I would like to be explained instead of just like, well, that's for you to decide.
I think it's more like they take on the form. They don't take on like the innards and everything. Like they keep their base is basically they change their skin, and I guess bone structure if necessary to get shorter. Um, and then for the DNA, it's just like if there was like a DNA test, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. I don't think I'd have a problem with it at all if it wasn't for the DNA line. The DNA line's what throws me off because that like your DNA just decides things, right? Like obviously it doesn't decide how strong you are and whatnot, but if you copy a person down to their DNA, I thought you would like copy their muscle structure and everything too. But again, it's just me looking too far into little things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think they might have just said it as like, because, I mean, like in comic books and fantasy movies, like if you want to test something to see if it is from this planet, you check its DNA, quote unquote. That's what they always say. Like, oh, look at these strands of DNA; it has 23 instead of 22. So they might have said that instead of giving an actual explanation. Because like in my mind, I don't know. Does their blood change colors, or does it still like blue blood or green
When
blood?
they
Yeah.
die, they transform back and bleed the purple blood.
Yeah. So like, but I want to know if like if I was like, hey, prove you're a human, cut your fucking arm right now and show me red blood. Would
Right?
they like bleed red?
I don't know because whenever you saw one of them get shot or die or something, they always transformed back before you saw the blood. As far as I know, now he when Fury got in the car accident with the one, it showed after he transformed back and he had the purple blood. But I don't know if it ever showed one take damage in its changed form and show blood. That would definitely be one way to identify them, which goes into one of my next points. Is when Vers, whatever her name is, was talking to Fury, and she's like, "How I need you to prove you're you," and she just starts asking him random questions that has no way of confirming whatsoever, and he just like answers them. He could just be saying random shit off the cuff, and she's just like, "You're you." That's it. Like there was no question. And then he's like, "Okay, prove you're not a scroll." And she shoots plasma and blows up something, and she says, "Skrull can't do that." Well, guess what? It turns out Kree can't do that either, and he just takes her word for it. Just like, "Yep, Skrull can't do that because the one I've seen didn't do that." Like that whole interaction scene was just like neither of them proved anything to the other one, and they're just like, "I'm taking your word for it."
Just bonding, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of their interaction was just like buddy cop comedy that to me fell on deaf ears. Did you guys enjoy it?
Like for the most part, I did. Just like the odd interactions. Um, but like I enjoyed those kinds of movies as well, like the comedy aspects, and when they added into these ones, it just to help either cut the tension or sort of move it along. But yeah, there was only a few times where I was just like, okay, like that, this isn't that funny. I honestly found Talos more funny in his certain moments when he was just
Mhm.
like, when he's just like pissed off at his science guy. He's just like, seriously, you couldn't figure it out. It's in orbit. You just didn't know that. You couldn't do that. Come on, you're my science guy. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I agree entirely. Sorry, Jordan, did you say something?
Well, I was just gonna say, the way I rationalize it is that because she knows that the scroll can only take like the short term memory, so she's trying to get information out of him quickly. Like, if you're not from this planet, you couldn't answer where you're from. Like when at the end when the scroll was taking Carol's form, and he like went to go answer the question, but he didn't know, so he paused and took a second.
Yeah, so maybe
So
yeah, maybe just the quickness, like just the
yeah,
boom, 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 answer these questions one after the other super quick instead of having hesitation.
Now,
yeah,
maybe they're just shitty at their job, but you'd think people who are trained to infiltrate not planets and all that, because that was just a Kree lie, but trained to infiltrate can literally turn into other people. You'd think they'd be better at coming up with a lie faster then, wouldn't you? Like, she, you should know she has no way of confirming any of this stuff. She asks you what your first pet's name, just say fucking Frankie. Like, how's she gonna know?
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Well, it was. They did change it at when. What the hell was it? When that other guy was answering, because a lot of those ones when Yonrog was asking the Skrull dude, it was like personal questions. So that's because there was that history there.
Hmm.
And then so for Carol to do it to Fury, it was more just like, hey, I just need these. As long as I can get these answers as quick as possible, it just seems. So, but yeah, they the Skrulls in the MCU are very very different from the Skrulls in the actual comic books. Like in the actual books, they are that um, like the infiltrators. Like there's a whole subsection of them called like the Deviant Skrulls, and they're the ones that are just like they actually take over the place and stuff like that. Which is why I'm interested because this one they're setting up Secret Invasion, which is going to be a Disney Plus TV show, Marvel TV show with Fury and the Skrulls. And the Secret Invasion stuff was like Skrulls coming in and basically taking over by turning into different members of the Avengers. So it was a little disappointing seeing them like this after reading up on Skrulls and seeing like, oh shit, like these guys are the actual bad guys, and then all of a sudden, it's just people getting genocided.
well, I mean, it could still go that route, like, because there was at least one high up in Shield. And as for like the coming up like stuff on top of your head, I think because this is like the people on their last legs. Like these guys are the bumblebees of the universe. They're almost gone.
Yeah.
So they might not all be like the hardcore trained, like
Yeah.
military trained people. They might be able to change fast. So that might be their experience. Like they have perfect outsides. Like they can take on the shape and form of anyone. They never get questioned. So they don't have like they've never had the experience. So they don't have the ability to come up with something on the fly.
Yeah.
Other than
I guess all I'm really saying is if I was either of those characters, I would not have found anything to make me believe the other one.
Not
true,
even his toast comment.
I don't even remember the toast comment. That was the one where you can't eat it cut or something like that.
If it's
it's
cut
cut
diagonally.
diagonally. He
That's
can't
right.
eat it.
Yeah.
But well, at that point, they were also. I think they were just both using each other because Nick Fury contacted Shield behind her back, right?
Hmm.
But he only pussied out because he found out that they were Skrull. And she was using him because he could get her information that she would either, or well, she could get it. It would just take a lot more blasting.
Yeah. Did she never notice that she was the only Kree to have blast hands? Like
No,
she was there for 6 years.
She was under the impression that they gave her the power.
yeah, she was spiritual.
Like that's why whenever she would go in
Oh
there,
yeah,
it seems like
what can be given can
yeah,
be taken away.
yeah. So and then they always pointed to the thing on her neck, and so she just assumed that that was them giving them powers because the other ones had like their weapons were like pretty technologically advanced.
Yeah, they had like weird gravity, psychic power gloves and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that might have been like an
Telekinesis gloves.
attempt to copy Carol's powers.
Yeah, or like synthesize them somehow. My only other real thing is again this one's definitely just personal. Is when I'm looking at a character like this in the MCU that has like serious moments and then tries to come off as like funny moments and whatnot. I think the king of that in the MCU is obviously Robert Downey Jr. He plays the intelligent, witty, sarcastic person extremely well. And I don't know if it was the writing or the acting or maybe a combination of both. I did not buy it from her whatsoever. A lot of those witty kind of moments felt forced and unnatural. And the unnaturalness makes me feel more like it's the writing because it almost didn't seem to fit the timing, but also it could just be the actor too. I don't know. And again, that could just be a personal thing. I really did not. There was a couple times where her banter was fine and it felt natural, but a lot of the time I did not buy it as natural.
I don't know. I do have an idea about that because the only times it really felt natural, like with her banter, was when she was with what's her name?
Maria.
Yeah, Maria Rambeau, and that's because that's her best friend. So I think that's who she was for so long that when the Kree took her, like you could replace her memories, but you can't change who someone is. So she might have been just like doing what she always does, like because she sees basically Yon-Rogg is the new Rambo, so she's trying to get that play off him because that's what she's used to. That's how it's been. But he is a Kree and a humorless shrew.
Yeah, he's so fucking brutal. Just like no, hey, control your emotions. Hey, use your head. Think with this, not this, and you'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think a perfect example to show that that's not true is Korath, because he never shows emotions. I mean, he admitted he does sometimes laugh on the inside, but he got his ass kicked because she's just straight up grabbed his fucking emerald energy sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way like I'll probably lean just to go with your thought, Jeff. I would lean more towards the writing, just because of the already issues that you mentioned before, based on the writing and sort of like the laziness. So, I think if that's what you picked up on, I'm gonna think it's the writing. Honestly, like Brie Larson has said some questionable, odd things in the past, but they nailed the casting on this, just like they pretty much nailed the casting on every hero that they have in the MCU. I don't think there has been a bad casting for a character yet.
I still think that there have been better choices. Like all the roles have been fulfilled fantastically, but there have definitely been better choices. The most glaring one was Danny DeVito should have been Killmonger.
You just want Danny DeVito as anything.
Danny DeVito kills the Marvel Universe.
I definitely like the the current Hulk better than the one before this.
Yeah, the Edward Norton one, but then again, like that one, it's partially Marvel, but it was also partially Universal.
Yeah.
Having too many hands in the pot. Now because one of the better examples is Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So once we get to once he comes in Civil War. Now, I don't know if you've seen the other iterations of Spider-Man, but
No.
So Tobey Maguire was an unreal Peter Parker. For those of you who don't know what the hell that is, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's the person. I'm sure you guys.
Yo,
know,
we
but-
just leaking identities now?
Yeah. Don't worry. Just call me J. Jonah Jameson. But yeah,
Hi, J. Jonah Jameson.
he was the perfect Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man movies was a fantastic Spider-Man, but too lean towards like an emo edgelord kind of Peter Parker. But
He was too
Tom,
cool.
what's that?
He was too cool.
Yeah,
Peter Parker's supposed to be like a nerd.
yeah.
And he came across as like a hipster, and hipsters were in
Yeah.
soy lattes. I don't know.
So those were both Sony, and then when Marvel came in, when they did the current Spider-Man, and they got Tom Holland nails it, both Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it just shows like when it comes to casting and them looking for the right fit for a character, it seems that they're doing well. I am curious how it's going to look with Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is a very big fan favorite that they've wanted for a long time. So I'm interested to see how Oscar Isaac does with that, and if he can pull it off. I'll probably, before it comes out, look a little bit more into the comics and stuff like that for Moon Knight. And same with Blade. I think it's Mahershala Ali. Great actor, fantastic actor, but when I think of Blade, I'm always going to think of Wesley Snipes and the way he handled it. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. Now, back to this movie.
I got one more thing to say. I think Tom Holland fits the role fucking perfectly. I think they need to change Aunt May. I can't remember the actress's name, but she doesn't look old enough.
Yeah,
like she's supposed to be like, I don't want to like, she's supposed to be fucking elderly, and you're not supposed to want to pipe the elderly. Now I think like going with someone who looks closer to it, maybe like Sigourney Weaver or Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. I think Jamie Lee Curtis would have been good. I think Sigourney Weaver's a little too intense for Aunt May.
I think she can play the role, because I would like to see Aunt May like take an active role with Spider-Man, like sort of like
Into the
Spider-Verse. Yeah, where she's just like kicking the fuck out of everyone.
Yeah.
Like, these are super villains, and you're just hitting them with a fucking bat. Although I would have to. We couldn't have Sigourney Weaver because, like I said, you're not supposed to want to pipe.
Yeah.
Call me Sigourney.
No, Sigourney will fuck you.
And I am looking forward to it.
But anyways, yeah. Whoa, fuck. We only got like almost 10 minutes. We know we got me and Jordan singing. This is the Guess What Jeff Thinks podcast.
No, we just discuss it, because if we like, I like getting Jeff's thoughts, because he does tend to write down more negative stuff where we have more positive. So I think it's good, because then we can actually get like a little bit of discourse.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, we get to tell Jeff how fucking wrong he is.
Hell yeah!
God, I can't wait to tell him how wrong he is on Ant-Man.
Do you need me to fucking make the serum, Jeff?
Do it.
I'm gonna make
Inject
the juice.
me. Inject me with your juice.
You gotta make the suit.
Okay.
Contain the juice.
Jeff's got to learn how to sew.
I'll wear the suit if you inject me with your juice.
I don't think sewing would work with this suit. You gotta like weld that shit.
So what did you guys think was good about this movie?
Definitely the casting. The music was fantastic. That it just brought you back to that time period because this one's
There was
definitely
several songs I
yeah.
recognized.
This was a '90s movie. Seeing that blockbuster, so the settings and stuff like that were pretty cool. Um, Samuel L. Jackson's just a badass, and the whole concept, like it felt kind of fresh as like an origin story type thing, like knowing that she already had these powers, but then she just figured it was just because of this, and then coming to discover that it was actually an explosion that she is the one that caused because she was trying to save lives. So already before becoming a superhero, she was already trying to be a hero. Um, so a little bit different spin on an origin story, I think, than compared to some of the other ones. Other than that, like I enjoyed this movie, um, just for being in the MCU and just in general a superhero movie.
I really enjoyed the movie. I like the subtle nods. Like a lot of the stuff that I think Jeff and a lot of people probably would see as lazy writing. I enjoyed because it gave me the option to sort of think. Like if I wanted to, well, if I lost my train of thought in the movie, which does happen quite a bit, it'll just give me the opportunity to think. Like the little nod at the beginning, like that, I thought it was shitty graphics instead of a scroll. I like that the mentor, like it just seems suspicious to me in the beginning. Like everyone and everything was just like, forget your past, control your emotions, don't think, listen to us, kill for the glory of the Kree. So I like that it definitely came off as like she was a prisoner. Watching the movie, I think this is only my second time seeing it, so there's a lot of stuff that I missed the first time, and just downright forgot. Like during the beginning, actually, it was probably halfway through the movie before the Tesseract is even brought on the screen. I look over to Zach. I was like, it kind of looks like she got her powers from the Tesseract. Like maybe that's why she can move so fast.
Yeah, he did say it. Then lo and behold, that's what Marvel was using to in order to probably teleport the remaining Skrull away to a safe place.
I would like to go and look up more of the Project Pegasus, because it doesn't really say much about it other than like she was, to them, to their knowledge, she was trying to build a light speed engine. Um, but you got to think like how fast can she go? Because at the end, I'm assuming like when she takes off and she's gonna find the Skrull, their new planet. Um, she blasts off while pushing the ship, and they're going like I would assume close to light speed. Like they're fucking booking it.
Yeah.
So how much power could that ship actually like get on its own with the Tesseract? Because that was that what it looked like. That was the main power source of that ship.
Yeah, I think it's a decent amount because once we get to Endgame, you see like she's the one that finds um, Tony
Mr.
Stark.
Tony?
Yeah, and Nebula. So and because it's just the slight beacon takes a lot of time to get through space. So for her to make it there and then have them back while he's still mostly alive, I think again it just proves that she is one of the top tier superheroes and just the power and sheer will. Hell, she goes toe to toe with Thanos at one point. So
Yeah, she's the only one like able to go toe to toe, I'd say, without getting fucked completely. Like Cap and Thor both were bleeding, and she's just like, no, my fucking mohawk is a little off.
Why does she sometimes wear the mohawk and sometimes not in space?
It's her suit.
yeah,
Yeah, but why does she sometimes not wear it while in space? Can she just breathe in space now that she has superpower?
I'm
Yeah.
assuming, yeah. That I would like to know more about, because like even near the end when she finally unlocks more of her power, she suddenly doesn't need the spacesuit to have its like Zorp shield over her.
Like, yeah, she had like the helmet on and all that kind of stuff even after she unlocked the power, and then at the very end, she's just like, "No, I don't need this anymore," and just doesn't have it on. It seemed weird.
Yeah, I
Does
think her
she ever eat in the
powers
movie?
are the what's that?
Does she ever eat in this movie?
Um, uh, at the end, like when they're all having a nice little dinner, and Talos and his wife are there, and
Oh yeah.
so
So I was just gotta think like maybe she just doesn't need the things that normal humans need anymore. Like, cause she's got Kree blood in her, and the fucking Tesseract juice. So maybe she just doesn't need oxygen or food or anything anymore. Or she just uses her energy and she creates a field around her that allows her to survive.
yeah, because when they were still, excuse me, controlling her powers, like she had like a little blue film basically over her. So kind of like how once we get to again further on in the movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, when Rocket makes that um, gel suit or whatever that goes over Drax and them when they're it's sort of like that same compound to help them breathe in space or like body mods and shit. But yeah, now the moment of truth is when we find out what Jeff actually rated this movie.
It's close, but I'd have to give this movie like a 4 or 4.5. The the writing to me just wasn't there. The story itself was fine. The origin story, the memories being shady, all that kind of stuff, that was all fine. The um there was some parts where she probably like should have asked questions, like when the one scroll was like they've manipulated you, or they're controlling you or something like that, or stop allowing them to control you, something like that. It was when she was first fighting them in that ship. She just doesn't ask any questions. She's just like, no, you're fucking lying or anything like that. And I know she's been trained her whole life to just hate these things, but like it, or not her whole life, for 6 years, but maybe it's just the person I am. But even if someone tells me something, I tend to question it, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't take everything at face value and you question everything. But again, her character is more just like an emotional hothead kind of thing, so it kind of makes sense. It's just I don't really like her character, I guess is what I'm saying. She's just an emotional hothead that at the end of the movie just becomes a Mary Sue. You know what I mean? And the writing and the actual like character interaction. Some of the character interactions were great. Like Zach said, the scroll leader dude, he was good. He had comedic moments. He had like he went out of his comfort zone to try and trust them when he found out that they weren't the bad, or she wasn't the bad guy. He, instead of just saying, okay, um, whatever, we're going to just take this information and run with it. We're like, okay, I'm going to reason with this person because she's like a victim in this too, kind of thing. He was a good character. He changed throughout the film. She was just like, no, I am angry and I'm going. That was her entire character, and I didn't really like it. So I'd probably give this movie like a 4.
All right, what about you, Jordan?
I'm gonna give it a 7. It was thoroughly, an 8. I'm giving it an 8. It was thoroughly enjoyable for me, and it unraveled a lot of stuff in the MCU. Although it did give me a lot more questions than it did answers. But that's one of the things I like about Marvel movies is that even if you have questions now, generally later on it'll be explained in a movie or maybe a mini series that they're putting on Disney Plus now, or it'll just straight up be online somewhere. Um, and I really enjoy just like the little things, like the eye or how Nick Fury actually got his eye injured, which is a huge mystery throughout the entirety of the MCU.
He was a kitty.
Yeah, well, technically it was
A Flurkin.
mother Flurkin.
Yeah.
I want to know like where that cat went, because apparently Nick was just keeping it as a pet after that. I feel like I was gonna say something else, but I can't remember. Yeah, an 8. Oh, I want to say I want everyone here to look out to see if you can find out what Fury was talking about when he said you should see what I can do with a paperclip.
Yeah, throughout the entire MCU to see if that is like. I don't think he does anything with the paperclip, but I can't fully remember. But yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8 as well. It was a solid origin story. Definitely had its writing moments and questionable things, but overall, it does a lot to help explain things, especially since this came in later on. I think this film came out just before Endgame did. So it helps explain a few things in the MCU, like Fury's eye and stuff like that. It was good seeing Coulson back and being being as a rookie. But yeah, well done for most cases. So an 8 for me. So that gives the a movie a solid 6.7 rating for us. So we've got 7 for Captain America, now 6.7 for Captain Marvel. So I guess that works with the that 70. Is that 70% less or 30% less than than the male role?
Hey, number boy.
Yeah.
What had we given?
But I just rounded.
Yeah. Well, what had we given Captain America?
A 7.
No, that's not 30% less. 30% less from 7 would be 4.9.
All right. So, next week we've got the very first movie that came out for the MCU that started it all, took a big risk on Robert Downey Jr. And paid off very well for them. Iron Man, the first Iron Man, is the next movie we're going to watch. We will be recording and streaming it on Thursday next week, as we are going camping next Saturday. So obviously we can't stream while we're out of camp. So you can join us then. Don't forget to subscribe. YouTube. Hey, you can come subscribe to us on twitch.tv/bytherailside too. Follow us on all the socials, and you can join us in Discord as well. And I think I don't know, what else you guys want to say?
Save Phil Coulson.
Yes, save Phil Coulson.
Phil Coulson comes back in the multiverse of madness.
It is possible. He is. I'm pretty sure he's voicing his character again in the Marvel What If series that'll be streaming August 12th, I think, or August 11th, one of the two.
Put the hashtag everywhere.
Hashtag save Coulson.
All right. Thanks for stopping in, and join us. We'll still be live a little bit later. I don't know what. We haven't decided what we're gonna play, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.